Go in progress. All right, Melinda, Dan, the floor is yours.
Okay, and I'm actually going to start with the pre-qual since that's such an important part of my listing presentation. So, ring ring.
Hello,
Hi, Dan. It's Melinda Elmer from Century 21. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. I'm just calling to confirm that tomorrow at 4 o'clock still works for our appointment.
Yeah, should be good.
Okay, great. And then before I come out, there's a couple of questions I need to ask you. Do you have a few minutes now?
Yeah, I'm actually driving right now, so it's a good time.
Perfect timing. Okay, good. So, Dan, if what I say makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident that I can sell your home, are you planning to list your home with me when I come out tomorrow at 4?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we do have another agent that we're planning to speak to, as I mentioned to you when we first spoke. So, yeah, I think I don't know if we'll decide on the spot, but we're gonna be putting it up for sale pretty soon.
Okay, great. And do you already have an appointment with that agent or not yet?
Not yet, to be honest. We've known them for a while. We just kind of talked to them briefly on the phone, but we're planning to speak with you first.
Okay, great. Thanks so much for giving me that shot. And which agent are you talking to?
Jane Doe.
Jane Doe. Okay, perfect. So now tell me again, where are you moving to?
Well, that's a good question. We haven't really fully decided. We definitely need more space. We have a newborn on the way. We need a little bit more room. So we're gonna probably be in the same part of town, but just need a much bigger house. When we moved into this house, it was actually already a little bit on the small side. So now we're definitely at the point where we wanted to hold off because of interest rates and all of that. But I think now we're at the point where we need to get something.
Okay, well, congratulations on the newborn. When do you guys do?
About 2 months from now.
Okay, so we need to get moving then pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were talking about if we wanted to wait until after, but I think we'd rather be settled in if we could. So that change just happened a couple of weeks ago when my wife told me. So here we are.
Yes, nesting starts, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So when I see you, Dan, how much do you and your wife want to list your home for?
Well, we would still like to get 650. I know we talked a little bit about that other house that went up for sale and lowered the price a bit, but we'd still like to try and get that or as close to that as we can.
Okay, great. Well,
I want to hear what you have to say. What do you think on the price?
perfect. And as a professional real estate agent, I study homes and prices every day. So I assume that you'll list with me at a price that will cause your home to sell, correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're not going to be unrealistic, but at the same time, we don't want to give it away. The bigger issue is that we're buying a bigger house, and so that's why honestly we've stayed here so long. It's been hard for us to make sense of moving because we have a 3% interest rate on this house, but I think we don't have much of a choice. So bottom line is we need to get the most that we possibly can.
Absolutely. And the good news is that I'm generally getting the max amount of money possible for my sellers. So that'll be in your favor for sure. So, Dan, how much do you owe on the property?
It's pretty low. I'll check before we meet, but I think it's around 250.
Okay, great. So you have some good equity. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And have you ever thought about selling yourself?
Sorry, I got a little bit of an echo here. No, I don't think so. We had someone that actually offered on it. We checked out some of those investors, but they were just way too low.
Oh, yeah, they come in super low. Good, smart move on your part for sure. And Dan, will you help finance the home for the buyer, or do you want to take all your cash out?
No, we definitely need the cash because not only I mean, we're using it as a down payment for the next house, but we also want to pay off some debt that we have. So definitely need
Okay,
the
great.
money now.
So we'll kind of hit two birds with one stone, basically. Pay off
Yeah,
that high interest debt and buy the new house. Congratulations.
thank you.
Great. Can you describe the home for me?
Yeah, I mean, you'll see when you get here. I think it's really nice. It's one story. We're on a corner lot. I think what I like best is the view that we have, but you could probably get a better idea once you're here.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to seeing it. And Dan, I'm going to send over a package of information. Will you take a few minutes to review it?
Sure. What will that be?
Fantastic. Well, it's going to have some information about what we do to sell homes and also some of the comparable sales around your home as well. And in addition, it's going to have a net sheet and all of the contract. So you can read over everything in advance, and then we'll go through it thoroughly together when we meet. Sounds good?
Yeah, that'll be great. You're just gonna drop it off, or how will I get that?
Yes, we're going to have that dropped off for you this afternoon.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
Perfect. And so, you know, our meeting should only take about 30 to 35 minutes, if that's okay.
Sure, that'll be fine.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to seeing you and your wife this afternoon, tomorrow afternoon at 4.
Sounds good. Look forward to
Okay,
it.
perfect. Okay. We're
Nice
going to confirm that your wife is there.
Yeah.
Hi, Dan. It's so great to meet you both finally. Thanks so much again for having me over. I'm super excited about getting your home on the market and getting it sold. Do you mind if I take a quick look around your home?
Sure. Yeah. Do you want us to show you around? There's a few things that we did that I'd like to point out.
Absolutely. And I want to have you show me all those things in detail. What I'd like to do first is take a quick look through your home so I can see it through the eyes of a motivated buyer. Would that be okay?
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, fantastic. You have that package I dropped off yesterday, right?
Yeah, we're actually just looking at it. So,
Okay, perfect. Why don't you grab that and I'll meet you guys back here at the table.
okay.
Great. I'll see you right back. Okay, I just need to change my view because it's super distracting to see everybody else. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So thank you, Dan. I'm super excited about getting your home on and getting it on the market. You know, I really appreciate you allowing me to take a few minutes to see the house.
Yeah, of
And
course.
in preparation for our meeting, I wrote down 3 real important questions for you. Do you mind if I go through those questions now?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, fantastic. So number 1 is, do you and your wife absolutely have to sell this home?
Well, yeah, I mean, if we want to move, we do. I don't think we could buy a house without selling this one. So yeah, it's definitely the first domino that's got to fall.
Okay, good. Oh, and you're already bursting out of the seams, right?
Yeah, well, that's like I mentioned, we wanted to stay here, or we were already too big for this house when we bought it, so it's definitely not going to work.
Okay, good. Well, then my second question is, will you price the home to sell, or do you want to keep it on the market for a long period of time?
Well, no, I mean, we don't want it to stay on too long. What is too long, or what's the average time right now?
You know, it's a great question. I'll go over that in just a few moments, okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. And then the third question, Dan, is do you want me to handle the sale for you?
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the biggest question we have was on the price. You know, we took a look at what you had delivered to us, and I see where you're coming from with what you had recommended, but it's just, I'd still like to start it a little bit higher if we could. And also, you know, the fees were a little bit more than what we wanted to pay. So I guess that's what it boils down to.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to go through all of those things right now. Sound good?
Sure.
Perfect, perfect. So, Dan, the good news is at the end of the presentation, one of 3 things will happen. Number 1, you'll have an opportunity to list your home with me. Or number 2, you'll decide not to list your home with me. Or number 3, I may decide not to take your listing. And I just want you to know that any of these options is fine, okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, perfect. So let's quickly take a moment and review the questions that I asked you over the phone. Now, you said you're moving to probably a bigger house here in the area, so same area. And I'm assuming we'd be able to help you with that as well, correct?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've already started to look at some places online.
Great. Well, we'll get you into a good place there for sure. And you're moving because you've got a baby coming in just a few months. So we need to get going right away here, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good. And ideally, so you want to be moved in before February or so, is that right?
Yeah, I think it's just going to come down to how fast this place sells. That's
Okay.
really it.
Perfect. And you said that you wanted to price your home ideally around 650. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
that's what we're hoping for.
Okay, great. And you said you owe about 250. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, we took a look. It was about 251.
Okay, fantastic. So by the time you pay off another month's, you'll be good. And you're not willing to do any owner financing, correct?
No, yeah, we need all the money.
Okay, good. And you weren't planning on selling yourself, right?
No.
Okay, good. Now, the good news, Dan, is that there are really only 2 issues that we have to look at today. Number 1 is your motivation to sell this home. And number 2 is the price that we set on your home to either attract the buyer or push them away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So to help you determine the value, I prepared what we call a comparative market analysis, or CMA for short. And there's 2 parts to this research. Part one are all the homes that are coming soon or on the market right now. These are the homes that are, frankly, your current competition. And I call this fantasy land. These are what homeowners list homes for. And then part two is the homes that have closed and sold. We call this reality. And that's what homes have actually sold for. So we have to decide today, Dan, where you guys want to spend your time, okay?
Okay. I mean, do you think the 650 is Fantasyland or is that realistic?
Well, we're going to go into that right now, okay?
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
the purpose of this is to determine the value of your home in the eyes of a buyer. Do you know how buyers determine value?
Not really, no. I mean, I haven't done this in a while.
Okay, well, you're going to get a crash course as we go look for your next house, right?
Yeah.
So buyers determine value by comparison shopping. They look at the price of your home based on its features and benefits and compare it to the features and benefits of similar homes that have sold recently or are currently on the market. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's what we did. We bought this house.
Exactly. So would it be okay if I gave you a quick example so I can make sure we're on the same page?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say, for example, you were going to go out and purchase a new car, and one dealership had a car for $70,000. You're a smart shopper, so you go to another dealership and they have the same car for $70,000, but it has upgraded rims and a fancy audio system. Which car is more valuable?
Well, it's the same price, the one with the upgrades, of course.
Well, exactly, right? Now, what if you went back to the first dealership and they put the car without all the extra bells and whistles on sale for $60,000? Which would be a better value then?
Well, I guess depends on who's buying it, but yeah, I think most people go for the cheaper one, probably.
Exactly, right? So you can put all that other stuff in there for aftermarket for a lot less, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay, good. So you can see clearly that if you want to increase value, you either lower the price or have more features and benefits for the same price. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get
Okay,
that.
good. So then price really is the only issue. Can I show you what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so let's take a look at these comps here that I sent over to you in advance. So this home, this first one here, is right next door to you, right?
Yes, this is the one that we're
Okay.
talking about. Yeah.
Exactly. So this one is currently pending. So it's gone under contract. That means that it had an offer price that was pretty close to this list price. Okay.
Mhm.
Now we know that they started out at 650, similar to where you wanted to be, correct?
Right.
Okay. And how many bedrooms does this one have?
2 beds,
How many baths?
2.
How many square feet?
It's about the same, 1281.
It's pretty much everything's exactly the same as yours, except it's in reverse, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this one here, top floor like yours, the major difference is that you have a little bit more upgrades than this one, and you have air conditioning, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So this one we know sold for pretty close to this price, but look how long they were on the market,
Yeah, 39 days.
39 days. And I mean, you guys want to be moved by February, right?
Yeah, if we could.
So you don't have the time to sit on the market for 39 days before going under contract, correct?
No, but I was hoping that, we have more upgrades, obviously, in the air conditioning. We hope it would be faster than that.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at these other two because I think this will also influence your price. Okay.
Okay.
So 3939 North Virginia Road. Are you familiar with this complex?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it, but I haven't seen this one.
Okay, you haven't seen this one. Okay. So you know where it is. The neighborhood is just a little step up from yours because it's not next to the shopping center, correct?
Yeah, and I think it's a little newer.
Yeah, it's just kind of, and it's tucked away in that neighborhood. So how many bedrooms did this one have?
2 beds,
2 bedrooms, and how many baths?
2 baths.
2 baths. And how many square feet?
It's about the same, 1250.
Pretty much the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then look what price they listed theirs for.
Wow, yeah, that's super low.
545, right?
Mhm.
Now the good
Yeah.
news is yours is a lot better than this one. And what price did they end up selling for?
Yeah, that's interesting. Is that like a bidding war or what happened there?
Yeah, exactly. They were on the market for 8 days. Can you see that here?
Yeah, that's good.
right? So what happened here is they actually priced it a little bit below market value. It opened up the market as much as possible for a buyer, and it drove the price up. And frankly, yours is in better condition than this one. This one is a lot more dated. More
Yeah, I still
similar.
don't, I wouldn't want to give it away though.
Absolutely. We don't want to give it away 100%. And did they give it away by lowering the price and then having bidding war on it?
Well, no, that's a good point. I guess I don't know if I'd feel comfortable starting that low.
No, and I wouldn't suggest that either. So let's take a look at this other house here. Okay, now they had a similar strategy. Look how many days they were ultimately on the market.
Wow, yeah, that's fast.
And they're just upstairs from 216, right?
Yeah.
Now, the good news is this is a top floor unit, just like yours, right? But in the same building as that other one that listed at 545.
Mhm.
But it's much more upgraded, similar to yours. Okay. So bedrooms and baths are all the same, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what price did they start out at?
Wow. They went up quite a bit, it looks like.
They went up to 630. Now, you can see there's kind of two different strategies. We can price it a little bit lower and let the market drive the price up to the full market value, or we can put it on the market too high, have you sit on the market, and then ultimately at the end of the day get a lower offer than probably you would have had you started out at that lower price to begin with. Now, we don't want that, do we?
No, definitely not. I mean, I'd still like to get the most we can for it, though. It's just going to be tough. I mean, if we, does that still happen? Like bidding wars, multiple offers?
It does. I mean, even these homes have sold in the last 90 days. So, absolutely. So, Dan, what price do you feel we should use to create value in the eyes of the buyer and get someone to decide to buy your home versus the competition?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we probably just want to think about this for a couple of days. What would you recommend based on this?
Based on what we're seeing here, Dan, I would recommend a starting price of $619. So, Dan, will you list your home with me for that price today?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a big difference. You know, what we're hoping for, we were hoping to start at 650. So, I mean, I understand why you're saying that. I know the market's not great right now, but I think we might just have to take a couple days and take a look at the numbers and see what works for us.
I understand that. And Dan, I'm curious, what price do you absolutely have to have?
We'll have to have, I mean, I would be okay at the 620. I guess my concern is if we start there, if the offers come in less than that, right? Isn't that usually what happens?
It's actually very rare than when that happens. So most homes right now are selling for list price are and above, at least 50%. The only times they don't is when they start way too high. And then we find that they actually sell for less. And you don't want me to come back and start beating you up on the price every week when it doesn't sell, do you?
Yeah, no. To be honest, no, we've done that before and it's not fun. I think I'd rather do it right from the start. I was just hoping that we'd be able to get a little bit more than that.
And you know what, Dan? I will 100% do everything in my power to get you guys top dollar. And then when we help you buy your other house, I'm going to be a tough negotiator on that end to get you the best price possible. Does that sound good?
Yeah, that's good. We didn't really think about that. Yeah, hopefully we could save a little bit on the next one.
Absolutely. And typically speaking, we do get a fair good price for our sellers buying the next property for sure. So
Okay.
Dan, do you want me to handle the sale for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're pretty comfortable there. So I guess we'll start it at the 620 and then yeah, hopefully it'll work out.
Okay, let's go ahead and sign the contract so we can get started.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Nice. Good job.
thank you. Now, it was much easier when I wasn't looking at a whole bunch of faces.
Yeah,
Good work. Good work.
Distracting.
Wait, hold on a second. Dan, you were starting out here by saying, I'm a lot meaner than Melinda is. And I don't know, it seems like you rolled over pretty easy on that one there, buddy boy.
Yeah, well, for the sake of time, I don't know what our time format is here.
Oh, I'm just having fun with you. Good job, Melinda. Good job. Hey, I have a quick question. So when you were going through the comps, Melinda, there was two of them that were in the 600 range. And he's the one that you started below, it went up. His comment was, well, gosh, I don't want to give it away. Do you think at that point you could look at the price per square foot and say, well, actually, this one sold for a higher price per square foot than this one that had to reduce its price? Is that any value in that when someone has that type of a comment?
It could, I mean, especially for someone like Dan who's analytical. Um, it's not the first place I look, so
No, it's not the first place I look either, but I'm
yeah,
just, when he's saying he doesn't want to give it away,
right.
I don't know. That could just be a thought of like, well, look, we're actually not giving it away because this one actually sold for a higher price per square foot than this one.
Hmm.
So I don't know, just dealing with an analytical, Dan, as an analytical, is that valuable at all or not?
It is. I think you just want to still keep it simple because the analytical is already thinking too much, you know.
Got
So
it.
I think I'm trying to go the opposite direction and keeping it simple. So I thought it was fine
Okay,
from that standpoint.
good. All right, good. All right. What did we get out of that? What did you find interesting or valuable from the way Melinda presented?
Just on the commission objection, since a couple of people are asking about it, the reason I didn't bring it up is because I thought you did a good job in the presentation. I think when you do that well, it gets rid of some of the objections on their own. That's just my 2 cents.
So, so I have a question for both of you. Do you get commission objections a lot?
Not a ton. Um, and when I do, it's typically I say I charge 3%, and then we just have to decide what to pay the buyer's agent. And then they're like, well, let's do 2.5. And I say, okay, and we sign the contract. So it's not a big deal.
And do you get commission objections a lot?
Not often, I'd say less than half the time, but I think when agents are getting it a ton, it's because they're not using the pre-listing package properly. If you're using it properly, you should know 100% what you're walking into and what the issue is going to be. And it usually comes out, shouldn't be a surprise where it comes out like right at the very end.
Well, but I bring that up because you said something really interesting right there. You said you didn't bring up the commission because you felt like she did a good job. And you're in the position of somebody who takes a lot of listings, so you kind of understand that. And so it's interesting that neither one of you get the commission objection a lot. And it probably goes back to something that Mike talks about all the time is there's a direct correlation between the quality of your presentation and the number of objections you get. So if you get so what I would say for everyone on that, because Dan's trying to make this as real as possible, and as he's presenting, he realizes he doesn't get that objection a lot. And when you're dealing with someone giving a great presentation, you probably won't get that a lot. So if you're finding yourself, if you're in this group and you're finding yourself getting that objection a lot, I would probably focus more on being better at the presentation than better at handling that objection. So just a thought there. All right, what else? What else did we get out of that? What were some other little valuable points or
I
things
have
you
a
got from
question
Melinda? Go,
for
go ahead.
Melinda. Melinda, when do you ask them if they received the package?
We call back to confirm. That's, the 5-step listing process. We call back to confirm after we drop off the package that they've gotten it and received it, and if they had any questions.
Okay, how soon do you call back? Like after you drop it off? Sorry to be nitpicky.
I mean, it depends. Like if we drop it off at 5 o'clock, I'm not calling them at 5:30. We're calling them, the next morning to confirm that they had a chance to read over it.
All right,
There's no hard and fast rule necessarily.
Hey, Brian.
thanks.
Hey, Neil, how you doing? Good. What's going on?
Hey Neil, you're
I
not
just wanted to
needed.
get back to you after walking the building last week. So
There we go. All right, good job. All right. So Melinda, question in the chat box was, what if you don't end up in a bidding war and you priced low and ultimately have to sell low? How would you handle that conversation?
So I've tried to be a lot more careful about talking about bidding wars, because we're seeing less of that, right? And the sellers still expect that. But clearly these ones had bidding wars, so it came up in the conversations because they were all the prices were higher. But after I get the contract signed, I have a little additional script where I set expectations. And one of the things is I bring up, hey, there's one of three things is going to happen when the market sees our price. One is we're going to have a ton of people through here the first week, and we're going to have a couple of offers on the property for you to choose from, and it's going to drive the price up. That means we're just priced a little bit below market, and it was perfect. Or number two is we price it just right, and in the first 2 to 3 weeks we get an offer, but we may not have as many showings. I mean, we may only have one, which is right around list price. Or three, we're going to have not a lot of showings and no offers in that 3 weeks. And if that happens, and I don't think it's going to right now, but if it does, we may need to adjust the price by 5 to 10%. Okay.
There you go.
I would just add on to that. I would always tie it back down to the price. So if a seller asks me, hey, Dan, will we get a bidding war? I always just say at the right price, homes still sell quickly and get bidding wars. The ones that are overpriced don't. That's all a function of where we start. The lower we start, the higher the chances.
Right.
Good.
I like yours better, Dan. Shorter.
And he says he's analytical. Liar, liar, pants on fire.
He's got to be
Funny.
efficient. He's going on 3 appointments in a day.
Funny guy. All right. Melinda, as you know, one of my big things on role playing is how many times you say the word because I do believe that is one of the biggest crushers of your business, and I'm happy to say you didn't say it once.
I eliminated
So
that one a long time ago.
I know, but people think I'm crazy for focusing on that, but go do a presentation and say 4 or 5 times and see how much confidence they have in you.
None.
Okay. None. Okay. So there you go. For those of you that are married, and if you don't believe me, go practice that on your spouse and see how well that conversation goes. All right, then you'll understand why I focus on that. Okay, what else? What else did you pick up from that role play? What else did you pick up out of that?
I like the tonality that she was using by asking question with curiosity, and also like when she presenting the comparative market analyze, she also asking the question just to engage him, more and more.
Asking questions. Good. Tonality is important. I like it. All right, what else? What else did we get?
I like when she after she goes through the questions, she uses a phrase and she said, well, the good news is that one of things will happen. And so I really like that because it's sort of like it was a great transition into those three things that could happen. I love that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. No, that's why we do these little. It's sometimes I got to tell you all something. The difference between Dan, Mom, and everyone else is not a lot. It's little things. It's really little things, and it's little things like that. I'll tell you one. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example of a little thing that makes a giant difference. And I actually learned this from Melinda years ago when her and I would role play, is when you're going through the comps and you ask the seller, have you seen this property? And most of the time they're going to say no. When you can say, well, I've been in this property, you instantly have total control over price. That one little line, I've been in this property, instantly gives you an abundance of control. So the value of previewing property and going to see them, it's that little thing makes a giant difference. So sometimes it's just little things like that. It's the tonality, it's the transitions, it's making it really smooth. So I'm glad that you were able to pick that up. So good.
Melinda, I
All
said
right,
this last week, but I just thought the pricing that will either push buyers away or attract them to you, I thought that's a really good, simple line to use, which I'm stealing from you. So hope you're okay with that.
I'm good with that. I'm sure I stole it from somebody else.
There you go. Yeah, as long as you stay in Las Vegas, you're allowed to use it. You know, but if you move to Los Angeles, we're gonna have some problems.
It's all good.
Yeah.
There's plenty of business for both of us.
Okay, fine. Go ahead and move to Los Angeles. I got a nice office for you, and we'll be just fine. All
We can
right.
dominate the market together, Dan. I'm good with that.
You know what? You know what? I'm a big fan. Just in case anyone's wondering. Just in case anyone's curious, I'm a big fan. All right, what else? What else did we get out of this? We got a couple more minutes, and then I know they gotta run. What else did we get?
When Dan asked Melinda two different questions, number one, she kept calming herself all the time. The tonality was even. She doesn't sound was nervous or rushing
Good, because
the
I was sweating.
Well, you dissimulate very well, very well. So, and when Dan asked you, do you think I should have added more features? I think no, it wasn't that one. It was about the price. And you said, well, we will discuss this one right now. You didn't let Dan distract you and keep moving forward exactly how the script is designed. That one caught my attention. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good. Good.
Yeah, there's no point in jumping in and answering his question right there when that's what we're going to talk about, right? Like, that's what we're going to talk about next. Let's do it.
And he didn't ask you after. So he moved according with your speed. See, he asked you once, but didn't he ask you again? So you control, you manage the situation all the time.
Well, yeah, he asked me in the very beginning. He said, "Well, do you think I'm gonna have to price? What do you think I'm gonna have to price?" And I said, "Great, we'll come back to that." And then he asked me again, and I said, "Great, we're gonna hit that now." So it was just pulling him in there.
Yeah. Pretty good, pretty good. Thank you.
You know, I wrote down a couple things here, Melinda. Number one, I wrote down that it can be that easy. I think a lot of people are on here, probably, if we're all being honest, and I don't want anyone to raise your hand. I'll bet some of you are probably disappointed. That wasn't really hard. That Dan didn't push her on this objection or that objection, or it didn't seem like you're probably sitting there going, God, that was just too easy. I want you to know sometimes it can be that easy. Dan made a great point. If you send the pre-listing package, if you pre-qualify with intensity and you go in and you're super prepared, they're not always going to be that easy. But these are two people that list a lot of properties, and they're making this as realistic as possible. It can be that easy.
Well, and
Okay,
I took this listing, so I already took this one, but like it was pretty much that easy when I went there. They did, it was almost the same scenario. Like they had another agent that they kind of talked to that was in the past, but they didn't really have an appointment with them. And I actually brought stats on that agent. I brought all this stuff just in case, but I didn't even need to use it. They didn't even bring it up. So
Just adding on to that, Robert, real quick, using a baseball analogy, if you're a baseball player, when you warm up, you're not taking 100-mile-an-hour fastballs in batting practice, right? So until you can crush the easy ones and hit it out of the park, there's no reason to be getting into that ridiculously hard role play stuff until you have this down, like Melinda obviously does, right? So that's just kind of my thought on it is you want to get world class at handling that before we start talking about the other stuff.
right.
there you go. There you go. The other thing that I wrote down, and I know this because I've worked with you for so many years, is you are just super calm and composed. I mean, there is nothing that anyone could say to you. Well, maybe there's something,
Oh, there's
but
a
for the
few
most part, there's nothing that a seller can say to you. And because I've worked with you for so many years, I know about some of the really interesting deals that you've had.
That's a nice way
There's
of saying it.
I'm trying to work on my language, Melinda. Yeah, just he could have said, I mean, yeah, got it. Okay, well, yeah, we could do that. Well, how about this? Like, just super calm, super composed. You don't make things stressful when there's no stress needed. This is part of the gig, and so I think the way you compose yourself is always really, really good. Okay. Anything last? Because
I
I know
love
they gotta go.
Kalani's question. So when I was a brand new agent, well, first of all, if you know the script really, really well, um, they won't know that you're a brand new agent unless you bring it up. But if they do, you can say, well, I'm really hungry and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get your home sold. And I have all the time in the world because you're my only client. So let's make it happen.
I'm hungry literally and figuratively because I need
Exactly.
some money.
Right.
I love it. I love it. All right, look, I know they got to jump, so everybody do me a favor, give a round of applause to Melinda and for Dan playing the
Thank
part of the
you.
seller.
Great job, Melinda.
Monday of next week,
Bravo, bravo. Woohoo!
roles are going to be reversed. So we're going to have
Good
Dan,
job, Dan.
who is a real estate extraordinaire from Vegas. He's going to be the seller. I'm sorry, he's going to be the agent Monday next week. So we're going to see a little bit of a different personality style go about it. So I'm always very grateful to these two and helping us out. So good stuff. So all right, I know you
Thank
guys
you
got
all.
to jump. I know you guys got to jump. So I'm still here. If you have any I don't know if Melinda's sticking around.
I have
If
an
she's got to
appointment
go.
shortly, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Melinda or any questions in general that maybe